Welcome everybody to the, I believe this is the last session in our series of webinars on effective practices for teaching online. My name is Sam Enneman in the Center for Teaching and Learning, and I will be the host for today's session. So before we get started, so you've seen enough of me. I'm behind the scenes kind of guy, so I'm going to turn my camera off for now. If you have any sound problems during the session, go ahead and use the audio to check your audio. If you have any other kind of technical issues, please feel free to call WebEx support, and that number is 866-229-3239. And if you need to leave the session temporarily, in the emoticons menu, if you'll just click on that little coffee cup, that will let us know that you've temporarily stepped out. So I have a few guidelines to go through, but could I get everyone who's here so far to, in the text chat, and please make sure that the chat is set to all participants, please just type in what department you're in and where you are logging in from today, whether your office, Starbucks, wherever it might be. If you have any questions, I know that our speaker, Florence, is going to be pausing every few minutes, but if you have any questions you would like to ask using a microphone, please just go ahead and raise your hand icon, and we'll see that. But also feel free to type in comments or any questions into chat. So if you have don't have a microphone or it's not working, go ahead and type them into chat, and I'll be monitoring those questions for Florence. And finally, we are recording today's session, and we'll be posting a link on the event sign-up page, as well as sending you a link in email tomorrow or the day after. So I'd like to give a very, very brief introduction to our speaker today. Today's topic is creating instructor presence in online courses, and our presenter is Florence Martin from the Instructional Systems Technology program in the College of Education. I know that she can say more about herself and what she does, so I'm going to turn it over to her. So please, everyone, give a round of applause to Florence Martin.
Thank you, Sam. Can you all hear me well? I'm actually doing this webinar from my office today, so I always, go to CTL when I do it. But today I told myself it's cold and wet outside. So I'm talking to you from the College of Education. Thank you for those of you who've taken the time to log in. So let me tell you a little bit about me quickly. And for some reason, it ended up in the last slide. Okay, so today's webinar is titled Creating Instructor Presence in Online Courses. I'm an associate professor and program director in the Instructional Systems Technology program at the Cato College of Education. And I research in the area of online learning. I've done studies examining e-learning environments, and then moved on to synchronous online learning. I used to teach entirely synchronously online for several years, and so that was an interest of mine, and then did mobile learning. I'm still interested in learning analytics, but of late I teach 100% asynchronously online, so I enjoy researching on various aspects of asynchronous online learning. And here are some courses that I teach. One of the courses that I really enjoy teaching is EIC 6150, which is Design, Development, and Evaluation of Online Learning Systems. So I teach, students how to design 5 modules in an online course. I also teach I used to teach instructional design. I've given that course over. I also teach instructional multimedia development. A little bit about the program I'm in, the one I direct. We have a graduate certificate and a master's in education and 3 concentrations. School specialist training and development. We have a new concentration in online learning and teaching. We have a lot of, faculty, lecturers in the online learning and teaching concentration. If any of you are interested in, any professional development, want to take courses, you can check out the certificate. It's linked on our website. So 6 courses, and you can earn the online learning and teaching concentration in Instructional Systems Technology. It's got foundations, instructional design, current trends, multimedia development. This is the other one I mentioned, design, development, and evaluation, and then learning principles. Okay, so now getting into the topic for today. So I would like to know a little bit more about your background. So can you type in the chat whether you teach 100% online, or whether you teach blended, or you teach face-to-face? And you might be doing a combination of the above. Okay, Mike says 100% online. Okay, Sandra says blended. Okay, Erin says face-to-face, but looking to teaching online. Wonderful. Okay. Okay, while we wait on Luke. So what do your students say, when you teach, especially for those of you already who teach online, when you walk into a face-to-face class, they know you, right? They know that you're the instructor of the course. In an online setting, so when I moved to UNT Charlotte and, I was asked, I knew coming in, and it was an online program. My initial concern was, am I going to build the same relationship with my students? Are they going to get to know me, as in a face-to-face class? So the question I would like to ask is, what do your students say? Do they say, I feel like I know you? Or, are they asking, are you there? Who is my instructor? So just something for us to think about. So this is a very famous model being used in a lot of research studies of late. It's the community of inquiry model, and it talks about 3 types of presence in an educational environment. So if you look at it, it talks about the social presence, the cognitive presence, and the teaching presence. So the social presence is actually, I have another slide here. So the cognitive presence actually encompasses the course content and its contribution to critical thinking skills. Okay, the real learning that happens. The social presence is a social environment created in an online teaching course, and that's very important too, right? Because in a face-to-face course, it automatically happens. Students automatically get to know each other. They are they see each other. So in an online environment, sometimes we have to make an effort to create a social presence. And teaching presence includes organization of course content, activities, and interaction, along with the expertise of the instructor. So this is one way to look at it. So this is a community of inquiry framework. But then moving on, community of inquiry framework does not really use the term instructor presence, but it was actually proposed by the same folks. So what they came up with is Anderson, Root, Garrison, and Archer. They defined this is actually teaching presence. They define teaching presence as design, facilitation, and direction of cognitive and social processes for the realization of personally meaningful and educationally worthwhile learning outcomes. So they talk about 3 different things here: design, facilitation, and direction of cognitive and social processes. So the way I look at instructor presence is the combination of all of the above. I think, definitely the teaching presence, the instructor being present, a part of social presence too, and I think a part of the cognitive presence too. I think it's a combination of all 3 that creates the instructor presence. So there's quite a bit of research that's being done in the area of the instructor instructor presence, and they found that, instructor presence relates to student success or satisfaction in online courses. They found that it enhances student motivation. So when they know that, the instructor is there, and it's also you can see, the depth in the quality of student interactions and discussions. And it also says it reduces the sense of isolation, which is big. And we know that, research says when students are online, that's the biggest challenge. They feel isolated, both from the instructor and from the rest of the students. And it also improves student performance. So there's been quite a bit of research. And here's another study, Harris. They say that, why are we even interested in instructor presence? Students want to interact with their professors throughout the online experience. And research has found, and it criticizes instructors who do not respond to students in a timely manner or provide little or no feedback. So it's important for the instructor to be present, and active participation of the instructor as well as the interaction with the students helps them be present in the online course. And finally, instructor presence helps bridge the distance and address the feeling of isolation when students may feel when learning online. So just, I just wanted to set the stage a little bit about, before I give you practical, examples how to be present, give you a little bit of like research and theory. So here's the other. This actually I had a definition earlier on teaching presence, so this is directly from that. And they talk about 3 different elements. So we'll go a little bit in depth in each of these. So they talk about teaching presence is established in 3 ways. So one is course design, how you design your course, and then how you facilitate it, and then also direct instruction. So course design is, it involves tasks such as curriculum development, creation, integration of a variety of learning activities into the course, and assessment of participating learning outcomes. So this is like the first part that happens, right? You design. And then what you do is, as part of design, you also take the time to provide some direct instruction sometimes. So it could be like posing questions that guide participant learning, summarizing discussions, confirming understanding through assessment and feedback. It could even be like, creating your own videos. So they all could be part of direct instruction. And then comes, once the design happens, comes the facilitation, when it's more the implementation, right? When in session, so you are facilitating. So in this is a part where, you set the course climate, you encourage participation in activities, and then, you also acknowledge participant responses. So those are 3 different things that Garrison et al. Talked about as elements of teaching presence. Here is a study, they found, when they examined instructor presence, how to achieve instructor presence, they had a long list, a lot of items on their survey, but they found that these were the top 10 items that were helpful to establish instructor presence. So it's it's about 7 years old, the study is. They talked about making course requirements clear, clearly communicating important due dates and time frames, setting clear expectations for discussion participation, providing clear instructions on how to participate in course learning activities. And some of these things might be simple, you might already be doing it, but it's just a reminder of how important it is. Providing timely feedback on assignments and projects, clearly communicating important course topics, creating a course that is easily students can navigate, communicating important course goals, keeping the course calendar updated, and then finally following through with promises made to the instructors. So I thought it was interesting, the 10 that they came up with. So what I'm going to do is about 11:15. I'm going to give you some practical, recommendations on what I do in my courses. How do I establish instructor presence? And then I'm going to give you some more data which I collected. I did. So I was just telling Sam this. So when I did this workshop a year ago, and then after I did this, I said, oh, it'll be interesting to do some research in this area. And so I collected some student perception data on what facilitation strategies that they value to enhance instructor presence. So I'll give you a quick glimpse of that. 12 facilitation, strategies that I surveyed on. So one thing that I do to start with, I'm sure all of you do instructor introduction. I do also include a text-based introduction, but along with the text-based introduction, I also do a voice thread. So for those of you who have not used VoiceThread, it's a free tool. It does these audio, visual, you could put in pictures, you could record, you could even do a video. So students click on it, and so they're kind of like listening to you. And, I walk through a series of pictures. So it's a little bit more personal than, just giving a text-based thing, which sometimes it's hard for students to connect with. And I do it, and then what I also do is I make them submit their voice threads, or I use another tool called Animoto. So the neat thing is, so students see each other's voice threads. So they're not just reading text-based introductions, and it makes them connect a little bit more. I've seen like comments from students saying, "Oh, I've had you in class so many semesters. I never knew that you did that." So with each other. So it's a very easy to use tool, and it's definitely benefited me. If you've never used it, definitely I recommend you to experiment it. And you can, feel free to stop me anytime, or type in the chat window. You want to pick up the mic, as Sam said, you could raise your hand. I'll pause every now and then. Okay, Sandra, so the name of the tool is VoiceThread in itself. Let me see if I can get you the link. Yeah, it's voicethread.com. So, okay. So the next thing I do is, and I'm sure all of you do a course orientation, or if you're getting ready to teach online, doing a course orientation is very important, because, when we walk into a face-to-face class, the first session, pretty much at least half of the session, we are like, reviewing the syllabus, setting ground rules, we're kind of talking about what is to come. So in an online course, we cannot just jump into the content, right? What I do is I call my first week as week 0, and it's just the getting started, and then course orientation is a part of it. I have a set of slides I walk them through, like expectations and grading policy and how to contact me. And then at the end of that, I do it is a Camtasia recording. At the end of it, I share my screen and I show them how I've designed my course, like where to find what, how to submit assignments. So I do all that as part of the course orientation. And when I do the course orientation, again, as I said, I do a Camtasia video. And if you see, you can see my headshot on the video. So they're not only like listening to me talk, they are seeing me too. So they know very beginning, okay, this is our instructor, so just getting to know me. If you don't like doing video, even having a picture of yourself there while you're talking might be helpful. So I think, it makes a difference, and students have told me that over and over again. I actually will talk about some e-lessons that I do, and so seeing you and hearing you does make a difference. So that is course orientation. Erin, is your question about accessing Camtasia through Canvas? If that be VoiceThread, no, it's just an external tool. I don't think it has a plugin. I could be wrong. I just make it, it's an external tool. It's free. They create it, and they can just post their links. Oh, Sam is clarifying. There is a plugin. Okay. Thank you, Sam. Do you have to activate it, Sam?
Yes. If you go to Settings in a Moodle course and then go to the Apps tab, it's an external app that you can activate in Canvas so that you can actually display the voice threads in Canvas. Or another option would be to get the embed code from VoiceThread, and you can embed it on a page. So it is possible.
Thank you, Sam. But I think you still have to go out of Canvas to create your VoiceThread. And I think what this does is it displays the VoiceThread as an embedded video. Am I right, Sam? Is that what the plugin does?
I'm not 100% sure because I haven't done it yet.
Okay, okay, yeah, and I haven't used the plugin too, but I've seen students embed the voice threads. So instead of like, putting the URL, the video will show up, but I think you have to go outside and create it. Okay, moving on. So the third strategy, so I have a slide with example, like, ways how students can contact me. How does this increase instructor presence? Just showing them, the instructors is available in different ways. So I start off with a forum called Contact Instructor Forum. Especially if you have large class sizes, you don't want to get the same email from like 30, 40 students. So I create this forum and I tell them if you have a question, a general question about the course, you post it in there, in the Contact the Instructor forum. And everybody sees it, okay? Of course, if the course has fewer questions, it's a good thing, which means there's not been too many questions. But then you also have to clarify, but if it's not a general question, if it's a question that's personal in nature, please don't post it. If it's about your project, it's about your grade, then you want to email it to me. So I kind of clarify that in the orientation. So the second option is for them to email me. The third option is the phone. So you can call me and you can also show up. So it's like an order of preference. I actually should add WebEx in there. I've been beginning to meet students on WebEx. I love the meeting room that we have, the personal meeting room. So I just send it to them. So if they want to meet with me, I give that to them and, you can have a conversation with them. So those are some different ways how you can, students can contact you, and that establishes instructor presence. Okay, moving on. Customizing the syllabus. We all know that syllabus is like the most important document, but a lot of time the syllabus is so boring, right? It's like so text heavy and students don't pay attention to it. So, making it a little bit more visually appealing, I always put a picture of myself in the syllabus. Just adding some color and, how you design it, I think makes a difference. It may not be a huge difference, but then the students notice your syllabus and, for them to pay attention to it. So that's another one. Another strategy is, and this is actually one of the quality matters requirements, if you're familiar with the standards, providing response times in the syllabus. When we teach online, when we teach face-to-face, we see the students periodically. So when assignments come in, and if you're still in the process of grading it, you can always communicate to them when you meet them face-to-face. But then when you're teaching online, it has to be clearly communicated upfront. So in the syllabus, you say, contact me via email, or through the contact instructor, how you want them to contact. So this says Moodle, it should now say Canvas if you've moved over to Canvas. You want to give some time frame. So what I say is for emails, I say 48 hours. 24 to 48 hours is a good window. If you want to buy yourself one more day, you can do that, but make sure that it's listed in the syllabus so that students don't, send you an email and they think that you're going to respond in the next 5 minutes, which a lot of them do, including weekends, middle of the night. They think, online, I'm an online student, the online instructor is always there. Of course, we might all be checking email all the time, but it doesn't mean that, we're going to be responding right away. Sometimes, you need that additional time. So providing that time, and also response time for returning feedback on assignments. I do 7 days, and 7 days is very rigorous. The reason I do 7 days is, I design my modules like weekly. So I try to return assignments before the next set comes so that, I'm not like overloaded with grading. I do like weekly discussions, weekly reflections, and then assignments come, not every week, but periodically. So listing the time also is important. That shows, so the instructor is present, but, the instructor has certain guidelines on when we can hear from him or her. So that is important. Doing some different types of forums where you can be present. And most of you might do an announcement forum. Sending out weekly announcements. Sending emails is good, but I would recommend, that you send it through the announcement forum, where it also keeps a copy of your announcement in the learning management system and also generates an email. The strategy I use for announcements is I send an announcement every Monday. So, no matter what, they know they'll hear from me by Monday. Like, because my week runs from Monday through Sunday. I close it Sunday night. So every Monday I introduce the week, what's coming up, so sending out announcements. They know that the announcement, the instructor is present. Sometimes, some courses when students don't even hear from you, it's like it's hard on them, right? Even though you might have material up, but periodically it's nice for them to get an email from you. But, you don't want to send too many emails. I always send a Monday email, but if there's something else in the middle of the week, I might send them an email. So I try not to do too many, but, 1 to 2 on an average per week. The other forum that I pointed out, Contact the Instructor Help Forum. So this is a forum where, students post questions, general questions, and if you see, I have that a sentence written over there. It says, please use this forum to post questions to your instructor about the course, including assignments, due dates, and procedures from the instructors for the instructor's response. If your question is of personal nature, please email your instructor directly. So if a question comes there, I go in and respond to that. So that's another way, students know that I'm present in the course. So those are a couple of good forums to have in your course if you're not already doing it. So here's the example, so there was like a clarification question on due date. There was some link issue or trouble accessing voice threads. So, you go in and you respond. And this is a screenshot of the announcements that I send out. I call them as to-do emails. I keep them brief, most of the students don't like to read. So I give them bulleted lists sometimes of what to do that particular week. Okay. Being present in discussions is very, very important. And it is hard, right? When you have so much going on, for you to be constantly present is hard, but at least being there, 1 or 2 days a week. What I do, the strategy I use is, because of the time constraint, and I teach only graduate level, so I make students sign up to facilitate discussions. So there are facilitators who are moderating discussions and they summarize it. But on top of it, I'm also there reading posts and, responding. So at least I don't feel I have to read like all of them and respond to all of them, but, I pick and choose. But then, still being there along with the facilitator is important. Clear instructions, setting expectations, interacting regularly, referring students by name, those are some important guidelines for discussion. So like I say exactly, by Thursday, you have to answer these questions, and then by Sunday you have to respond to 2 peers. So, and then for discussion facilitators, I have a set of guidelines, these are your rules. You don't have to respond to everybody, but then you have to be there like, so many days. You have to summarize it. So things like that, giving them is very, very important. User-friendly navigation, and we saw that come out in that Sheridan study too. This used to be in my Moodle course. I don't do the table format, but I actually didn't bring a screenshot of my Canvas course. But I'm still doing a lot of visuals now. But I do like in a page format, linear format. So navigation and consistency is very important because that kind of helps the learner know that, you are there. So it is important too. So keeping the navigation very, very user-friendly. So in this, if you see, I did like a 6-cell format, and I still do like similar. So in this, I did objectives, readings and resources, e-lesson, discussion, assignment, and reflection. So every week you'll see that, the assignment may or may not be there, but then, the other things you will still see it. This is when I taught in Moodle, I used to customize a HTML block to give them a navigation option and then show exactly which week we are on. I haven't figured out a way to do this in Canvas yet because Canvas doesn't let you customize your menu. I don't know if, Sam has any strategies. Hopefully we'll get there someday. But, for students, so I change, where, which week we are in. So students know that, you're there, and that is important. Any questions so far? Let me pause. No questions? Okay. So instructor generated presentation. So every week I do an instructor generated presentation. Again, I do same Camtasia. And with Camtasia, like I do the headshot so they can see me. I don't call, these are pretty much live lectures, you know, but I don't do more than 10 minutes. So I call them as e-lessons, keep them brief. And I go over the major points of, like, you know, the readings, and then add like personal examples to it. And students have mentioned that they really like it. I also give them a copy of the slides, but then, you know, I have the videos linked in there. You know, I call them as e-lessons. So, so that's another way for the students to see you and hear you, and to know that the instructor is present. Clear expectations on projects, having very clear rubrics, and you know that shows that, okay, so the instructor has taken the time to create all this, right? And varying up requirements, and so that all courses don't look the same. And so I think, you know, it is important, and that makes a difference too. Another thing I do in my courses is, again, as I said, you know, teaching online, the connection is so hard to build a connection with the students. So what I make them do is every week I make them do a short reflection. You know, when we were in Moodle, I used to make them do this in journal option. In Canvas, I just make them do it as an assignment. It's 5 points. You know, it's mostly like participation points, unless the reflection is really weak. It's a one-on-one reflection, and I ask the 3 questions each week, the A, B, and C. You know, D I don't do all the time, but occasionally I do at the beginning of the semester. I ask them what benefited you the most from this week's content, what challenged you the most, and then how do you see yourself applying what you learned this week in your current or future job setting. And they will tell you, so now you're getting to know how they took what they, you know, learned that week and how they're applying it. And so, you know, in a face-to-face class, you walk in, and then the first question we usually ask is, so what did we talk about last week? And, you know, what were the challenges? How did they apply? So in an online setting, we don't have this opportunity, right? So this reflection definitely benefit me, and I enjoy reading the reflections because it tells you exactly how your week was. And if they had challenges, they'll tell you. I sometimes go in and I respond to each of the reflections, like 1 or 2 sentences, but you know, to let them know I'm reading. And if they have challenges, I give them more additional resources, which benefits them. I do 1 or 2 synchronous sessions, even though I call my courses as 100% asynchronous. The synchronous sessions are not mandated. I record them if they can't make it. Some faculty do orientation. You know, in my case, I record my orientation, but doing an orientation is a good way to you know, establish instructor presence. I like doing a mid-semester Q&A. Like, especially, you know, if you're getting started with big projects, so just being there and, you know, taking questions, and whoever wants to log in can log in. And then end of the semester, I do like team presentations, especially if they're working on projects and want to showcase projects. And WebEx is great. You know, you can build in a session, and students can directly log in. So just to clarify, you know, WebEx needs to be added from the navigation. The default conference option takes you to big blue button, and I've heard from faculty, you know, that's not as user-friendly as WebEx, so you want to use WebEx. And using, like, you know, variety of the features, and so that benefits students. Skype for office hours or WebEx for office hours. I used to do Skype, but now, you know, I like doing WebEx, especially my meeting room. So, you know, using that is another way to enhance instructor presence, to show that, you know, you are there. And you can even do Hangouts too, Google Hangouts. Since we are now on Google Mail, you know, you could just pull up your email, and then you could do a Hangout too if you want to do a call with them. I collect feedback periodically. I do a mid-semester survey, and I also do an end-of-semester survey, which is different from the course evaluation that the university does. I do that too. But the surveys for mid-semester, I just ask them 3 questions. Areas for improvement, what they like, and I ask them about the synchronous session usually. End of semester, I ask them very specific questions about my course. The university evaluation is very general, right? So this is like I even ask them specifically every topic that I taught, every activity they did, and what benefited them. So that data helps me. So how does this establish instructor presence? Again, knowing that your instructor is listening to you, collecting feedback, and then you respond about it. There's something that comes up, and you talk about it. I think it makes a difference. So that is important. Some things that I don't do, but I've heard faculty do it, maybe I need to get there at some point, doing audio, video feedback on assessments, with Canvas. So now SpeedGrader is great, and if you notice, along with submitting files, I also, you can also record audio. Okay, you could also record audio, video, and just attach it. That definitely enhances instructor presence, right? Because you're like literally listening to feedback from your instructor. So if it's a course where you don't want to type a lot and you just want to provide oral feedback, you could do that. Erin has a comment here. Skype name, yeah, I usually list it in the syllabus. And then put a contact, but I also tell them to email me ahead of time if they want to talk to me during office hours so that I don't miss it. But off late, I like, as I said, I like the WebEx meeting room, so I can log in and I can just stay there. I like that. But anytime office hours, if they want to talk to me, I ask for an email ahead of time too. And most of my students work full time, so usually office hours they don't show up. So it's like for you to just sit there waiting for 2 hours, you're probably working on other things, right? So you don't want to miss it. So that's why the email is a good idea. Any questions? So those are, I think I showed about 10, 12 different strategies. It's about 11:35. No questions? Okay. So what I'm going to show you next is the data that I talked about, and I'm actually presenting on this data this Friday. So when I was like, updating the slides, I said, oh, this is cool. I need to show this tomorrow. I actually have a lot more data, but I'm not going to overwhelm you. This is not a research presentation. But, so I collected data from students, 188 students. And what I did was I identified 12 different strategies. And you would see me talk about some of these already. And so video-based instructor introduction, video-based course orientation, able to contact the instructor in multiple ways, instructor's timely response to questions, weekly announcements, instructor-created content in form of short videos and multimedia, instructor being present in discussion forums, timely feedback on assignments and projects, instructor's feedback using various modalities, personal reflection to students, personal response to student reflections, instructors' use of various features and synchronous sessions to interact with students, instructors' visual syllabi of the course. So you saw I talked about all 12, right? So I said, okay, let me find out what the students think. These are practical strategies I use. I love research to inform my teaching. When you teach online, it's really nice. It's a nice reinforcement, right? Okay, what benefits them, what doesn't benefit them. So I collected data with students. I think the next step would be neat if I can collect some instructor perception to see what a faculty thinks that makes a difference. So this is what I found. I gave you numbers there. The numbers all look the same. It was overall very highly rated. It was on a scale of 1 to 5. It was questions were asked about how helpful were these strategies, and they were on 4 constructs. Helpful to build instructor, helpful for establishing instructor presence, or helpful to knowing that your instructor was present, connecting with your instructor, helpful for engagement, and helpful for learning. So I asked them on the 4 constructs. And out of the 3 constructs, it was like, a very good reinforcement to know that instructors' timely response to questions and instructors' timely feedback on assignments and projects was rated the highest by students. I mean, it doesn't mean the others were not important, but timeliness comes first. Especially for instructor presence, you see it, and for engagement and for learning. So, even though it's challenging sometimes, to keep up with emails and to give feedback, this kind of said that, that's what they value the most. So the lowest rated items is they didn't really care as much about the synchronous sessions or using different features in synchronous sessions to interact with students, and also the visual syllabi. When I said they didn't really care, it was not rated at a 1 point. It was the lowest, which was still at a 3.94 and a 3.91 out of a 5. It was still pretty high, right? And then for instructor connection, again, we see the visual syllabi and the synchronous sessions. But in the instructor connection, the top two response came out to be the video-based introduction and instructor response to student reflections. So that was interesting. And then here, for engagement, they thought the course orientation didn't help them, and then the visual syllabi didn't help them. And for learning, they thought that the video-based introduction didn't help them, and the visual syllabi didn't help them. So visual syllabi, they didn't really care as much. Let's hope they are like reading the syllabi. But then the video-based introduction and course orientation also didn't come up for engagement and learning. But it's interesting, even though it didn't come up there, but video-based instruction was considered important to build or connect with the instructor. So, even though it didn't help with the engagement and learning, it was considered important for connection. So that was just some quick data, to reinforce some of the strategies. I also have open-ended data, and then a lot of other, analysis that we did. We ran some ANOVAs, based on gender and based on demographics. We try to look for significant differences. If you're really interested in it, I'm working on the paper. Hopefully, we'll get it submitted soon, and then, I can send it to you. So that's all I have. It's 11:40. We're done in 40 minutes. I hope you are walking away from this presentation with some strategies. I would like to hear from you if there are any strategies that you use to enhance instructor presence that we didn't talk about today. From any of you? Erin, Luke, Mike, Sandra. So 4 of you had logged in. Any strategies that you use to enhance instructor presence? Okay, online chats in Canvas. Okay, very nice. Do you schedule them, Erin, ahead of time? Give them the time? Okay, wonderful. Okay, I was actually going to show you one more quick thing since we have a few more minutes. You know what I might do? I might share my screen. Okay, let's see. Okay, so this is like a quick, and some of you might have seen my sample course. This is one I shared with the College of Education, I created as an example. So what I want to show you is this is just the home page. I want to show you the navigation mainly. So I do the 8-cell format. I have an overview about the instructor syllabus, schedule, getting started module, and I'll quickly show you what all I do here. I do, again, I link back to several of the items even within getting started module. The project specifications, grading policies, there's the course orientation, introduction discussion, signing up to facilitate discussions. I do a readiness survey, configuring your Canvas profile, and a getting started quiz. So I give them a week to go through getting started. So, let me show you the modules, the way I designed. So I showed you how I did it in Moodle, right? So now in Canvas, I've taken a different approach. I still use the menu item, the module menu item. So the first page is not as visually appealing, but then if you click on my module, each module, what I've done, I've used the week format. It's in a page. So instead of doing 6 cells, it's just a little, a linear. So there's objectives, there's tasks, there's readings, resources, There's my e-lesson, discussion, assignment, and reflection. So, it's got a little bit of visual appeal to it, and I'm very consistent. So any week you go, they know exactly, what to look for. You see that? So that helps. And I'll also show you the forums. So the course forums, which I already talked about, there's the announcement forum, contact the instructor forum. I do a student lounge where they can post questions. It's not quite connected with instructor presence, but actually I do that for them, and then this is the summaries for them for the facilitators to post. So just to give you a quick look. Okay, so I see that some questions have come up. Okay, our strategies. You guys have shared some strategies. Okay, let's go through them quickly. Luke says, I've been including videos in my quizzes. Very nice. Presenting problems using CAM tasks and responses. Very nice. Sandra says, using machine-graded language learning activities, so we email students based on their progress. Okay. Camtasia. Luke uses Camtasia. Okay. Yeah, excellent. So, we just have to keep working on it and, making sure students know that we are there as an instructor, and I think it makes a difference. Any other questions for me?
Okay, so I'd like to thank you, Florence, for a really good presentation, and before we leave, just a couple of reminders. Oh, we did questions. So I wanted to just point out some upcoming webinars we have. These are webinars between now and the end of the month. Tomorrow, one on Are Students Really Watching My Videos? We'll be showing how you can look at viewing statistics for videos that you upload into Canvas. And then we have on the Friday another webinar in our series on the Student's Pathway to Success, a faculty guide. That was an ebook created last year by some a group of faculty in the top 40. This week's topic is on the student feedback chapter. And then next week, the library will be presenting on how you can refresh your research assignments with library resources. And I must, of course, mention that next month on March 14th, Florence will be back with the final workshop in her series. Next month's topic is enhancing interaction in your online courses. So that's on March 14th. I see some of you have already signed up for that, but if not, please look at that look for that on our calendar as well. And then finally, as we're approaching lunch, I would like to offer everybody a virtual dessert. And maybe if you would just indicate in the chat which is your choice of dessert, and I will just tell you that these are actual real desserts. I found them in a dessert cafe many years ago in Vancouver at a conference. It was called Death by Chocolate. So it's really real. Yes, I think that my favorite one is fudged out myself. You can tell, fudged out. So please enjoy those virtual desserts. And as we wrap up, just like to thank you for attending this month's webinar with Florence. And we look forward to seeing you next month. So thanks again.